Hi. Yeah, could you just let us know how much time is involved in actually inputting the data and keeping up with the data, the raw data that goes into the databases?
I'll do that. So for the Wakefield data, we got the extract, the data they had from the different ERP systems, and it was literally within an hour we had it copied and pasted in, and we were working. So all organizations have data in different systems, and the data model is, I'll get a little bit technical, we're using what's called a graphing database rather than a relationship database. So the database structure is infinitely flexible. So whatever the data is that you've got, you can literally copy and paste from Excel in there and start playing. You know, if you've got data quality issues, which you will have, then you can start visualizing those data quality issues and see where they are and have meaning. If people start using the data for driving decisions, actually that can help drive those quality issues as well. You know, so it's very quick and easy to get started, basically.
One of the things I'd just add to that, and again I'm quite interested in, is that certainly at the moment we have data, or people management data as I would describe it, all over the place. So predominantly the data we're using at the moment is from the payroll HR system, but I've got a separate set of health and safety data, I've got a separate set of this, a separate set of that, and I think the power of it as well is that I'll be able to bring all of that together in one place and map it.
Hiya. What employee engagement data do you feed into this tool, and how can you use that to compare against other data you have?
So there's two things. It's not released yet, but there is in the roadmap over the summer, there is a survey component. So you can create a survey, an employee engagement survey, and have it sent out from OrgVue to all the employees, track the uptake of that data, bring it in, and then start using that to correlate it with other measures. So you could start looking at what's the engagement scores by manager, for instance, or by departmental function, and start correlating that with history to turnover. And then start correlating it to high performers. Are high performers those that are engaged, not engaged, to low performers? So start turning that engagement data into more of the, you know, the correlation type stuff that everyone was alluding to in the morning session. And there's any number of different types of surveys that you can send. It's one of the modules in the product.
And that, just to add again, for me, is the importance around the manager, because if I can, I know, well, we all know when we work with them, is that if you've got high sickness, low engagement, you know, high turnover and so on and so forth, we've got a problem. Now, I need to understand why that is, and it perhaps then prompts the conversation from the HR business partner is, can we help you with the first point of call?
Sorry, I was just wondering, is this more popular in like large organisations where there's more reporting to be done? Because I'm in a company like where it's got 400 employees, but I don't think it seems like too technical for like a smaller organisation.
I personally don't think it is. I think it works for me in terms of some of the efficiencies and so on. But I think you still need to understand, and even with 400 employees, you can't know it, you know, being able to. The best description I've got about why I find this so useful is, if you look at, you do statistics and so on your CIPD, and you look at data, and the danger is you can spend a long time looking at that data, even for 400 people, and it's out of date before you've actually made your decisions. OrgVue is immediate. It's really quick. It's really engaging. You can have self-service and so on. And therefore, I don't think it matters what size organisation. You still really need to have that same information, that same data, that same ownership. Whatever size the organisation, and you can't know absolutely everything about 400. You might if there was 3 of you in an office, but I think it still has a value.
Well, it could replace someone's job, because if someone just does that, like as reporting to their HR officer, and they do all that reporting, it could then like replace their job, so it could actually be negative in a way.
The way I see that, just to give that answer, is because for me, I've just had to take out 15% of my HR budget, and yet I've still got all the support I've got to do. So I don't see it necessarily as actually taking out staffing. But if I've got an HR business partner who's having to spend 3 or 4 days just actually trying to understand the data, rather than adding the value and being there, using that data as real information to really help inform and to show how you impact and add value on the bottom line, then actually that's a real benefit for me. I'd rather I had HR people out there talking to people than sat fiddling on a load of numbers.
Just a question regarding the technical nature of the database. You said it's web-based, and the data itself is then stored on the servers of your company or the servers of the company that purchases the software, or how does it work?
It's hosted in the cloud. So it's
Okay.
hosted in a data center with all the security around that. And I would argue that we can make it more secure than what most enterprises would be able to do. In terms of involving IT, all you need to do is have permission. All you need is a web browser and your password, and you can go.
I was just asking because of the issue of security, especially
Yeah.
since you mentioned that it deals with issues such as payroll, for example, and financial data of this.
Just to help reassure, I mean, being part of local government, we have to comply with all sorts of different standards around Government Connect and sharing data. And again, we don't want any of that. We left it in a taxi press, so we're very satisfied with that level of security.
So is the intention that this would replace all your other HR and payroll systems?
I suppose.
I don't. We might have different views. I don't think so. It's not going to be a panacea for everything. It's not an ERP system, so it's not processing the payroll. It's not going to pay people. It's a management tool. Will it replace all of those management tools? Yes, but it's actually servicing a need that isn't really serviced today. So it's more servicing latent demand rather than products that currently exist, if that makes sense.
I'd agree with Rupert, and I'd add a little more to that. For me, I think there is a real challenge about the payroll and HR. The payroll system predominantly is there about paying people. Now, it gives us useful information, and we tend to use it in lots of ways, or try to, which is why we spend days trying to get data out of it and manipulate it in just the right way to give us the answer we think we want. But they're not designed for that. And fundamentally, for me, I quite like this separation, that you can use that data, add it to all sorts of other data that we collect in different places, employee surveys, for example, and bring it together. It also allows me to give a distinction. We're always very loath as HR people, quite understandably, or certainly payroll people, not to allow managers access to play with data in the payroll system, because you can't afford for that to go wrong or to be corrupted in any way. So the fact that it gives us a distance, and yet managers use real-time data, is really, really powerful.